Alright, this is video 2 for the Foxhole logistics tutorial. In this video, like I said in the last, I will talk about stockpiles and delivery routes. So as I mentioned in the first, this wonderful structure here is a seaport. It acts as a storage depot just on the sea, so you can store different ships inside, and it's not landlocked. This is a storage depot. These things act exactly the same. Now, I would go ahead and highly recommend that if you really want to do Logi, but you don't really know what to do, is to join one of the many logistical clans. I can currently vouch for T3C. They are extremely good people. They get work done and they help the war effort for sure, and they are always in need of helpers, not slave workers. So anyway, back to the video. If you're part of a clan, there are probably different codes that they will give you for these different stockpiles, which I'm in T3C, so I have access to these codes. This is a private stockpile. No one can access this. I'm pretty sure it's visible, but no one can pull anything out unless you have the code in. But let's say you want to start your own reserve. Just to put all that stuff. Do not put it in public. If you do this, it will no longer be reservable, and it will be accessed to the public always. What you want to do is, right when they come out of the factory, you can hover over any crate and see that they are reservable. For example, I'll just pull out a crate of Dusks here, and you see this is reservable. It says right there. Put that back. On the other hand, if I go into public, pull out these rifles, for example, it will not say reservable, which means it has been submitted to a public stockpile at some point. So, say you want to make your own reserve stockpile. All you have to do is click this wonderful plus sign button here, enter a name, wow, that's interesting. There we go. Now you have a reserve pile open, stockpile open. You can put any crates you want in here. There is a limit to the amount of crates, but as long as you're not doing a big time operation, that won't be a problem. Which you could also do what T3C has done and make two different stockpiles here. So as you can see, they have a bunch of APRPG shells, while in the first one they probably, yes, they about reached the max, which is 100. 100 crates is the max, which of course not for explosive materials, because there's only 20 in a crate, but generally 100 is the max you can have. But if you're not doing a big time Logi operation, you shouldn't have to worry about it. So there's a bunch of different options. You can either release it, which essentially closes the stockpile and put everything in it into the public stockpile. You can make it visible so everyone can see it and put stuff in it, but they can't take things out unless they have the code. You can view the passcode right here in case you need it. You can copy it to your clipboard so you can post it anywhere you want, so anyone who needs it can access it. Now, as you can see, there's an expiry time here. After 2 days and 1 hour, if you do not put any more crates in here, the stockpile will expire. Everything will go into public and the stockpile will implode. It will disappear. All those reserve crates you have would go into public, would no longer be reservable. But it's easy. They made this a lot easier now. All you have to do is press this little button. Look at that. You don't even have to put crates in here anymore. All you have to do is click a button to refresh the expiry time and set it back to that 2 day and 1 hour time. Easy as that. You can put vehicles in here. You can put crates of vehicles in here. You can put everything you want. Now, I'm going to go ahead and release this because I don't need it for anything. Submit crates the same way that you'd submit to the any town base or operating post, like I demonstrated in the first video. Next, we will go over delivery routes. Now, let's say you have that stockpile there filled up with all sorts of equipment, weapons, and ammunition. Just itching to get to the front. Now, as you can see, I'm here in Terminus, and we are losing very badly. Let's see. Here is a front line. There's no Logi post. Let me find. Let's see. Wow. I am surprised. Usually there is a lot more logistical. Ah, here we go. So as you can see, there are these map posts, and generally there will be in each region one or two of these Logi posts, logistical posts, and they'll say what they need. Could be a multitude of things. Could be weapons, ammo. Maybe they need, as they say over here, they would like some 150mm to shell the blemish. Which, if you're doing this individually, I doubt you're going to have those shells on hand. But let's say we were going to go bless these fine folks with 150mm shells. You would need to plan somewhat of a route. Now, thankfully, it's going through backline regions, which are not on a front line. You still have to watch out for partisans, though, and you want to not go through roads that do not have watchtower coverage. Because the thing is, there could be partisans or enemies that are behind enemy lines to intercept logistics, and there's nothing logistical people hate more than to have their truck or flatbed full of things get captured or destroyed. Now, as you can see, this intel is not very on point because I do not have a radio. A radio, when equipped in its slot, will give you map updates every few ticks. Or you can just access and you see map intelligence has been updated. So now I can see accurately there's a guy in a truck going down this road. But if I were to grab a radio and put it in the slot in my inventory, I will now receive constant map updates. So you move from here to here, and he should disappear in a hot second because he's going to be outside of watchtower range. So you see he moved. So every time you're making a delivery, you need to have a radio. So if there's any questionable areas, you can just look at the map real quick, see if there's enemies, and possibly make an alternate route. And that's why it's good to stay on watchtower covered roads, so you can see if there's anyone on the road or near it. Now, like I said, it's backline, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. You just load up your truck or shipping container. Make sure it's a small one, unless you're depositing to a storage depot. Because if you take the large one, you can't unload it by hand. It has to be deposited in a storage depot, which then it can be unloaded by hand. And just, I guess the best route would be come up here, come across, go by the component mine up the relic base, and even though I said don't go on non-watchtower covered roads, I won't worry about it. If there were active partisans, people going on this road would probably make a map post and say, there are partisans there, do not go. If you really don't feel confident, you can take this bypass and just come up through that way. Also, as you can see, this is a proper logistical list, which they have multiple things that they need. So that's really how you do it. You just need to make sure that your cargo reaches there safely. Now, what I meant by the different shipping containers is that you have a small one and a large one. Both can be loaded onto a flatbed or freighter. This is a large one. You cannot pull things out of it by hand. You can only put them in and out of stockpiles, which then you can retrieve the crates out of the stockpile by hand, but it's generally better just pull out one of these small shipping containers, fill it up with whatever you need. It can hold 40 crates, while the shipping container can hold 60 or 80. I think it's 60. But you can unload this one by hand. So you can drop it by whatever base you're by. You can just pull it out by hand and put it in there without having to go through a lot of trouble. In the next video, I will be teaching you how to build different structures. You might be wondering, why does that have to do with logistics? But sometimes you need to build watchtowers in the place of ones that aren't here. So it would be extremely helpful if you were to grab some beam mats and just place watchtowers going up this road. Someone else doesn't have to do it. That's pretty much all logistics covered, except for, of course, the mass production factory, which used to be facility, or the MPF, which actually I'll go over now. The MPF is like any normal factory, except it's special. It has extreme queues, while the factories, normal ones, can only have 6 things queued at a time. The MPF can have way more. I've never seen the cap being reached. Now, you might be like, well, that isn't so special, so you just queue up more? Well, there's also a catch. Let's say I want to make some rifles. I could only make 4 in that factory, but in this one, I can make 9 crates of rifles. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah. What's even more special is that for every crate, you receive a 10% discount that caps off at 50%. So while if I were to have 9 crates, that would be 900 B mats, right? Well, look at that. 9 crates, 550. It goes for vehicles as well. You can make crates of vehicles. So for example, the Falcon, which is made specifically for this mass production factory, each of these costs, what? Let me just check real quick.
Don't mess with me.
Each of these costs
I can't really hear you.
165 fine materials. Well, on here, if I were to make, it costs 495, which is 3 times 165, I presume. But as you can see, you get 2 bonus vehicles produced per crate. So for the price of 3, you get 5. But that's not all. Say you to make 5 crates of Falcons. Not only would that be 25 tanks, you're getting it at the price of about 10, more or less. So you save so many resources. by using this mass production facility. This can be done with vehicles, different pallets and containers, and weapons, shells, heavy weapons, and small arms. Oh, and including uniforms as well. Also, another feature, as you see I'm in a squad, if you were to make an order, you can set it under personal, your squad, or public. If it's under personal, it'll stay there until only you can retrieve it. You set it to the squad, the name of the squad that you're in. Anyone in your squad can access it and retrieve it. If you set it to public, once it's done, it can be accessed from this tab, which, as you can see, someone made a lot of lovely shipping containers and a metal beam pallet just to be operated by the public. And then they can just click that check mark and take it. Alright, that's all. Good luck.